Hello, my name is Josephine, and this pretty little puppy here is my fur child, Tora. We've lived in this van called Snoopy for about 2 years now, and I'm building it out bit by bit while we're living in it. I've been meaning to film a proper van tour, but I've had a hard time deciding how to do it, since it often feels like you can't really see the fixtures in there. And truth be told, most of the time, its condition is really not fit for YouTube. In the name of keeping it real, I'm gonna start by showing you what one of the worst days inside of the van might look like. The kind of day that is a catalyst for a proper clean. It is so messy in here. So much stuff, things piled on the bed, even some building supplies shoved in there, stuff on the floor. Oof. Let's start cleaning up. There is a space for most things, so cleaning up mostly means shoving things back in their compartments, folding all the clothes, and putting away things in the kitchen. It also gets dirty in here very easily. Imagine all the dirt that gets tracked into a house or an apartment, but now it's only got about 20 square foot of floor space to accumulate on. But today we're gonna do a spring clean by lifting most things out of the van, so I'm able to scrub it all, and that gives me a chance to really show you what I've built inside of the van, and to show you how much crap can be stuffed into a little van like this.
Looks like human things happening over here. I'm out.
It's kinda crazy. Look at all this stuff. It's not even everything. There's still plenty of stuff in the garage, and all the tucked away storage is still filled to the brim, but at least now the open surfaces are free for me to clean. And we need to start with this very dirty floor. When I say that I live in a van, what it really means is that I spend a lot of time outside. Most of the living is done outdoors, while the sleeping, maybe the cooking, and some work might be done in the van. Between me and the dog, we track in a lot of dirt.
What are you doing, crazy woman? It took me a week or two to get all of that dirt and hair to stay in there.
Don't worry, Tora. It'll build back up again. I've invested in a new cleaning toy. I used to have a regular canister vacuum that did work on my solar using the inverter, but it took up too much storage space under the bed, and I found this 12-volt Black & Decker one that I like the look of.
Oh no, not that noisy dragon. You're on your own with this one.
For those of you more interested in the details and the performance of this particular vacuum, I will be making a separate review video soon. I've got a 12-volt outlet by my solar right here. You can obviously use it in a cigarette lighter and turn on your car as well if you don't have solar. It's great for reaching into tight spaces. And there are a lot of tight spaces in this van, like back here for example. I probably shouldn't be driving with my windows down as much as I do. It tends to coat every single nook and cranny with a fine layer of dust. I'm lifting out my chest-style refrigerator here in order to get behind there. This gives me the chance to show you the sliding shelf I built for the refrigerator. The shelf is on the lockable sliders, which is necessary so the fridge doesn't slide out when taking turns. The lockable sliders are a little bit pricey, but definitely worth it. I'll link to those in the description. I call the front passenger seat Tora's room. She loves having a space to call her own. Does get really hairy though, so a little tip: if you're ever gonna ride shotgun in my van, don't wear black trousers.
I don't know why she bothers. It's just gonna get dirty again.
She is quite right. It is going to get dirty again, but it's not all that often that I do this thorough of a clean. I actually have a theory that one of the benefits to living like this is being exposed to a plethora of germs, pretty much everything that the world out there has to offer. I have a feeling it's making our immune systems pretty strong. Hold on tight, only a few more seconds of cleaning, then I'll give you the full van tour. Dusting off the windowsill storage boxes. I'll show you more of what they are in a moment. And finally, mopping the floor. No mop needed, only takes a few seconds to hand wipe it down. Right, the time has arrived, friends. Let's begin this grand van tour. My van build is what you might call a mid-grade van build. It is somewhere right in between just throwing a mattress in the back of a van and a fancy apartment-style build. Let's start down here, since you can see my 12-volt chest-style refrigerator, and there's an inverter down there and a trip switch for the inverter. Kitchen up here, and the bed over there. So on both sides of the bed, there's the windowsill storage I was talking about. I built that out of 1/4-inch plywood and some 1x4s, I think. The wall closest to the window is cut to shape to squeeze into the window frame. It's not screwed in, it's just shoved in. And then there's cross braces to the outer wall of the box. I'm gonna lift out the clothes in the middle compartment here so you can see that the original windowsill is right there, even got the cigarette tray. I extended the windowsill to make the cubbies a little bit bigger. My bed didn't need all that space from side to side. So there's 3 little cubbies on this side. Up here above the bed is an original storage compartment in this conversion van, where I've also got clothing. I have way too much clothing for living in a van. And I built an identical windowsill storage box on the other side. My van is a mix of original and new features, but I find myself converting the original features one by one so that they look and function more to my liking. Over here is the control panel for the solar system that I built into a live edge wood slab. I like the contrast of that look. The solar charge controller with an LED screen so I can see how the solar is doing. The 12-volt outlet that I used for the vacuum, and a few USB outlets. You can even see the solar cables that run up the wall of the van. I've been meaning to cover the cables up somehow, but I haven't gotten around to it. The battery for my solar system is hidden underneath the mattress over here. Hold on, I need to open this box so you can see it. There we are. It's a 100 amp hour lithium ion battery. Probably my biggest spend for this van overall, and something I don't regret for 1 second. It has been absolutely great. I've run it dry a couple of times when using a heat blanket overnight in the winter time, and the power comes back up again pretty quickly the next day. This placement under the bed also turned out to be great, as the temperature down there stays more even than anywhere else in the van. I will put a link to the battery and some of my other favorite items in the van in the description below, so it's easy for you to find them if you want. Now let's look at some more storage that I built in the very back of the van. They're intended to function a bit like bedside tables, with these little cubbies underneath here where I have a radio and some other things. Then above that, there are a couple of shelves behind a little door. There's a common sense twist lock, and behind there I store some musical gear. My guitar. It's strapped to the wall up by the ceiling using Velcro straps. That's worked out pretty well. I built a shallow shelf above the bed that was originally meant for books, but I'm an artist as well and I couldn't find another good place to store a canvas, so that's what's wedged in up there. On the other side there's an identical cubby with a twist lock. The doors to these cubbies are made from these nice pegboards that you can buy at IKEA. They're great because they have all kinds of hooks and clip attachments. And down here, I have a shrine of crystals and candles just to keep the van cozy. Let's head to the front of the van. I want to show you the storage box I built between the 2 front seats. It was a little bit tricky due to the fact that the floor is not level right here, but it turned out great in the end. This is kind of a catch-all drawer, however mainly it contains things for Tora like her food, snacks, leash, toys, etc. Towards the back of it, there's storage for things that don't get used very often. The storage box also doubles as a seat. I got a 3-inch foam dog bed and placed it over the top, which means it's both nice for Tora to lay on or me to sit on. Let's dig a little deeper into my kitchen setup. The one sliding drawer right here contains a whole lot of everything. There's some Tupperware on the top, and underneath are all my utensils. I've utilized the same IKEA pegboard in the kitchen as on the rear storage and found great attachments that hold spices, coffee cups, tea and condiments. There's even an attachment for hanging up a roll of paper towels. This little contraption here is what I came up with instead of a regular sink. It's a 4-inch deep half-size serving pan, and it's great because it comes with a lid, so if I don't want to do the dishes right away, I can just pop anything in there and put the lid back on. These little bungee cords on the side here are where I keep coffee presses. Now that I've removed those, I can show you what's really nifty about the serving pan solution. It's not fastened, so it can be lifted right out of its place. Since there is no grey water tank in the van, I can easily do the dishes outside, using biodegradable soap, of course. For lighting in the kitchen, there is a little light bar located right here. It has its own onboard battery, so I charge it up using the solar setup during the daytime. The table fills many functions. I can sit on the bed and use it as a desk. Since the inverter is located right down here, it's easy to plug in my computer. But the table can also be used from this side. Luckily, I'm only 5'2" or 157 centimeters tall, so I can stand up straight in this bubble top fan. I have a great little one-burner butane stove. I'll show you what it looks like when I make a quick lunch. Everything is very easy to reach in this kitchen, which makes it really fast to grab a bite to eat. When you live in a small space, it's important that every feature is as functional as possible. That's why I love modular things. So I built the table with hinges and a single leg so that it can fold away if I need more space. Open shelving is a very popular modern look for kitchens these days. However, I can't really claim that that's why my kitchen ended up looking like this. It was mostly due to being an inexpensive solution and because it's lightweight. I just have some simple bins that sit right here that contain dry goods and pots and pans. In the beginning, I had the problem of them sliding off the shelf whenever I took too sharp of a turn. It made an absolute mess in here, but I found a very simple solution, and that's this rubbery drawer mat. As soon as I put that down underneath the bins, they were not sliding anywhere. So I think that's a hot tip for anything that you might have sliding around in your van. You're probably wondering where I keep water by now. My main water storage is this 6-gallon tank. It used to sit behind the driver's seat, closer to the kitchen. However, the van was a little lopsided. Most of the weight happens to be on that side of the van. So I found this new position for it recently, and I rather like it. There are a couple of upsides, one of them being that it's easier to lift the can in and out of the van. I've got a USB chargeable pump that has really outperformed my expectations. And because it's not connected to the van, I can lift it and everything out if I want to use water and pump outside. Okay, time to put this bed back together. Thank goodness for these back doors, it makes everything so much easier. I do love my bed, and the fact that I can reach to open a door without getting up early in the morning, both to feel the fresh morning air and to let Tora out. As you can see, compromising on the amount of pillows was not an option for me when moving into a van. And finally, let's stuff things back underneath the bed. I told you this is gonna be a complete van tour. Skateboard, my suitcase full of winter clothing, and for some reason 2 yoga mats. Who in their right mind lives in a van and owns 2 yoga mats? I guess I do. I use a little rug on the floor in the winter time, so it's nicer for my feet when I get out of bed. And a reminder to everybody to always keep an auto fire extinguisher on hand.
Can you stop filming now and play with me?
Okay, sweetheart. I just wanted to show everybody your bowl stand, which I'm also using as a shoe rack at the moment, and that is working really poorly. So my plan is to build a shoe rack right here on the inside of the door. If you're curious about that project, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because that's likely to be my next video. Finally, I will quickly show you the messy garage back here, which is also going to get an overhaul. I have a plan to build a quite nifty tool shed back here this summer. And before I forget, up there are the solar panels. The pitched roof rack is something that I custom designed and then had a welder make for me. And there's 200 watts of solar. But the sun is going down, so it's time to wrap this up. As always, me and Tora have enjoyed having your attention, even just for a little while. Please come back and see us soon. Hey, hope you liked the van tour. If you did, it really helps us out if you give it a thumbs up.